Hi everyone, this is Aaron from HH Watch Reviews. Welcome back to the channel. Some of you may already know that I used to have a Tudor Black B58. Yes, I said I used to have it, but I actually owned one for almost 2 years. Initially back in 2021, I purchased a blue dial, and about a year later I decided to switch it up, so I sold that watch and purchased a black dial. And honestly, I liked both equally. Like many have said before, there isn't a lot to complain about those watches. It's a beautiful looking watch, the size is great, and it works on a lot of different wrist sizes. There are many variations available for everyone's taste, and it's been very popular for the past few years. So because of that popularity, many Chinese watch brands decided to make a homage of that watch. Some have succeeded and made really nice watches, and some, well, little less. So in today's video, we will take a look at the newest Black B58 homage, the Militado ML06. This watch was sent to me by Militado for free and I don't have to send it back to them, but as usual that won't affect my review of the watch and they'll see this review at the same time as everyone else. If by the end of this video you're interested in purchasing this watch, I will leave a link in the description down below for you to check it out. For today's wrist check, I am wearing the Bettimer B8001. This is a homage to the Girard-Perregaux Laureato, and I have to say, I am pretty impressed so far. I've had this watch for over a week now, but I've only started wearing it today. So I'll be wearing it for the next few days and see, how it holds up, how it is to wear this watch every day on the wrist. So subscribe to the channel if you're not already so you don't miss out on that review. Let's go over the measurements and specifications of the Militado ML06. We have a bezel diameter of 38.8 millimeters. The case itself is actually 38 millimeters. The lug-to-lug distance measures 46.4 millimeters. The thickness including the dome sapphire crystal is 13.4 millimeters. The lug width is 20 millimeters and the unsigned crown measures 6.9 millimeters. The watch runs on the Seiko NH35 automatic movement. It has 41 hours of power reserve, beats at 21,600 vibrations per hour. It hacks and hand winds. The dome sapphire crystal has clear AR coating. The watch has 200 meters of water resistance, and the case and bracelet are all made out of 316L steel. One thing I didn't like about my Black B58 was the polished sides. I think I had scratches within the first week of owning it. I often lay my watch on its side, so that's the area I get the most scratches. So I'm happy to see that Militado decided to give this watch a completely brushed finish. The brush strokes are very fine and the finishing is consistent throughout the case. There is a tiny polished chamfer on the edges of the lugs to separate the top and side of the watch. The transition between the finishes is crisp, the edges are very smooth. There aren't any sharp edges on this case. Everything you touch is soft and smooth. Looking at the side profile, you can see how slim that mid case is. A good portion of the thickness comes from the crystal and the case back, so the visual thickness of this watch while wearing it on your wrist is about 9.5 millimeters. And speaking of case back, this one is simple and plain. There are no text, no logo, just a regular brushed finish. The watch has 200 meters of water resistance, and that is in part thanks to the screw down case back and the screw down crown. The crown measures 6.9 millimeters and, in my opinion, is a very good size for a 38 millimeter diver's watch. The design is very different from the one on the Black B58. I would say it looks more like the crown on the Black B54, and I prefer this look. I just wish it had a brushed finish. The crown is unsigned, so it's just a plain polished surface. Also, because it is finished in high polish, it actually lacks grip. The knurling on it is very soft, and since the surface area is narrower than the one on the Black B58, it's actually very hard to grip. But otherwise, Militado did an amazing job with this case. I think the proportions are right, the finishing is very well done, and it sits very well on the wrist. The bezel on this watch is a coin edge bezel. There is a good amount of surface to grab onto, so it is easy to rotate. The bezel action is great and it's a lot better than I expected, so let's have a listen. The bezel feels very solid and heavy. and I don't mean that in a negative way. It has a very confident action and the clicks sound precise. You can tell that it is a very well built bezel. It's not too loose, not too firm. There is no backplay and everything lines up perfectly. The insert is a black ceramic insert that sometimes looks gray. It has a matte finish and in some lights it just looks like an aluminum bezel insert. The markings are filled with lume and they glow really bright. It just doesn't last very long because the markings are very small and thin. Which brings me to a complaint I have about this bezel. The last Black Bay homage I had was the San Martin SN0128. And in my review video I mentioned that I didn't like the inner metal ring, the one that surrounds the crystal. It's the exact same design here and I don't like it. Because of that ring, there is less space for the bezel insert, and so for that reason the bezel insert needs to be narrower, and because of that the markings are also very small. Here is the addiesdive AD2044. The bezel insert is much wider and sits right next to the crystal. I just wish Militado had used a wider bezel insert like this one. This watch is available in two colorways. There is the monochrome version that I went for, and there's also a black and gilt version that looks more like the Black Bay58. That one also comes with a version that has a date on it. When I first saw the photos Militado shared on Reddit, I didn't notice the different dials. I did notice the different colors, but I hadn't realized that the monochrome version had applied indices, whereas the gilt version has printed indices. I'm not sure why it's different, but that's something to be aware of if you're planning on buying this watch. I personally prefer the applied indices, so I'm glad that's what the monochrome version has, but let me know in the comments down below which one do you prefer. So this watch has a beautiful black glossy dial with a white minute track around the edge. The indices are big and filled with super C3 lume, which I'll get back to in a minute. Below the 12-hour marker, we have the Militado branding. It is printed in white and the font used here is my favorite one so far. It's all caps and sans serif. It's very small and it doesn't stand out too much. In my opinion, this is the branding they should put on all of their watches from now on. At the 6 o'clock, we have the text automatic and the water resistant depth rating. Overall, it is a very well balanced dial with not too much text on it, just how I like it. The hands are the same snowflake hands that we're all familiar with. I do want to mention that the proportions are perfect and they all reach the marks they need to. The negative about these hands is the lume. The color of the lume in daylight doesn't match the color of the indices. While the indices have a slight cream color, the hands are stark white. This is something I noticed right away when I held the watch for the first time. It isn't a deal breaker for me because I can only tell the difference when the watch is very close to my face, but as soon as it is more than 2 feet away, it looks the same. And also the lume glows the exact same color, at least to my eyes, so it's not a huge issue. But still, Militado, if you're watching this video, fix the mismatched lume as soon as possible. Some people liked the faux rivet bracelet on the Black Bay58 and some people hated it. I'm in the hated camp, mostly because they were just there for the looks. The ML06 also has a rivet bracelet that I don't like, but for a different reason. So first off, this bracelet starts at 20mm and it tapers down to 16mm. It goes back up to 18.3mm at the clasp. The end links are solid and fit the case perfectly. The top of the end links have the same brushed finish as the case and the finishing continues on the top of the bracelet links. Everything looks consistent and it's very well finished. Now if we zoom in a bit, you can see that this isn't your typical 3-piece oyster style bracelet. There seems to be an extra piece attached to each end of the links. That extra piece is finished in high polish. I'm not sure I like the design choice. The case is almost fully brushed and I think that the bracelet should have also followed the same finish. The polished bits just look out of place on this bracelet and I just wish the bracelet and the clasp had a fully brushed finish just like the case. Now the finishing isn't my only gripe with this bracelet. The faux rivets on the Black Bay58 were there, but it was for the looks. But on this watch, these are actually screws. And there's a screw on each side of the link. So if you want to size the bracelet, you have to unscrew both sides. It's just a pain in the you-know-what. And then there is this clasp. First, the clasp attaches to the bracelet via a regular oyster style link. I honestly don't know why they didn't use the same link as the rest of the bracelet to attach the clasp. As far as I can tell, the middle piece of the link is what attaches everything together, and that piece is exactly the same on both the oyster style link and the one with the rivets. So yeah, I'm confused. But then I got over that and I was like, if that's what it takes to have this Rolex style clasp with on-the-fly micro adjustments, then wait, what? What is going on here? There are so many of these clasps on AliExpress with the EasyLink micro adjustment system. Like, why doesn't this watch have one of those? And why is it that the last link is not a regular straight link that all bracelets have? I'm just more confused now. Basically, this bracelet is 3 different pieces taken from 3 different part bins and put together. And that is very disappointing because they nailed the case on this watch. From the size, proportions, the finish to the dial, bezel, and overall look, everything looks great. So matching that with a disappointing bracelet like this is just not a great experience. This review started on a positive note, and I don't want to end it on a negative one. I still think this is one of the best Black Bay 58 homage out there. Militado got a lot right on the first try, and I am sure they can easily fix the things I highlighted in this review. For example, get rid of the bracelet and just give us a regular oyster style one. It doesn't even need to have a clasp with on-the-fly micro adjustments. That's how I've been wearing mine and I think it looks a lot better. So Militado, if you're watching this video, make a version 2 of this watch, fix the issues I mentioned in this review, and honestly this will take the top position as the best Black Bay 58 homage in the market. And that wraps up my review of the Militado ML06. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this watch, and while you're down there, check out the links in the description if you want to purchase this watch or any other Militado watch. As usual, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it with a friend or two. And if you want to see more watch content, please subscribe to the channel and click on that notification bell to be notified when I upload new videos. As always, thank you for watching and I'll talk to you on the next one.